Juxtaposing Gloves here, and today we're looking at the updated database. Oh my gosh, this thing has been upgraded the heck out of. It is so much better now. That's what this video is going to be about. It's going to be about the big update, where we started, where we're at, and where we're going. If you're not interested in this, this is a collection of free things. There'll be a separate video explaining like the search functionality, but come check it out. These are the free plugins. There's a bunch. There's one for oscilloscopes as well. This one isn't just free, it's everything. So when you sort by price, you can see some of these. Now this one's nested in Max, so there's notes, there's articles linked if they're relevant, demos of everything if a demo exists. And so right now I'm working heavily on the free one, but that brings us to our first big update. Back in the day when I did this the first time, it looked like this. And I had to create a spreadsheet that I had to input things one by one. There was no way to just update the table or to just generate a new one given a new set of information. So that was my first goal. I really just wanted something that I could hand it, information, and it just generates everything for me. And so tools I used to make this, I get asked this every time. I used vanilla JavaScript. There's no frameworks, and just CSS, Node, JS. That's pretty much it. I mean, HTML, but it's wrapped in the EJS viewer or whatever. So that's that. And when I made this the first time, it was one by one. It was done with Wix. I had no knowledge of coding. I have to look at when this video was. That's pretty much when I started web development and getting into it, just from the very beginning. And so this was just annoying. The thing would not resize. Certain variables just were not available. I couldn't understand, so I had to make a separate one for the desktop site. And so I ditched this and started making this. Now, there was a middle version where this was not dynamically generated. There was a version that was brute forced. I created the grid manually, inputted each element manually. There was no database at all. And it led to all kinds of really complicated sizing issues that there were way too many specific things for it to be a real robust solution. And it made expanding into other databases difficult because I would have to update all of them individually. So I ditched that for a JavaScript generative approach combined with PostgreSQL. This was a huge leap for me. I had made a few more other JavaScript projects by this point. I made a little oscilloscope that worked in the browser and a metronome and a little sheet music interactive thing. And none of them came out none of them are ready. Okay? They're not that great yet. But this one I decided to really go in on and really go for it. And using that, I decided to design this. I also had a couple side gigs for other companies where I created websites for them. And one of them involved displaying inventory space. And I shenaniganed my way through doing this with a Google spreadsheet, which is not the best way to do it. But now I know. I have much better understanding. Postgres was a huge leap. But anyways, just a little bit of background and sort of where I was coming from when I made this. So it works off of a single class, single file implementation with some CSS. And it basically, now I can feed it the information. You can see these actually work off of S3 buckets over a CDN, a content delivery network. And so the database only actually stores references to that location so that the database is pure text, so it can load really fast and also be searched really fast. I spent forever trying to figure out which database is the one to do. And at the end of the day, it seemed like PostgreSQL. I'm still not sure if I'm saying that right. If it's PostgreSQL, I feel like there should be an S at the end. So I don't know. I've not heard anyone say it out loud before, so I'm not sure how to say it. But anyways, those are some of the technologies behind it. So some of the things I'm real excited about is things are now sortable. Oh, affiliate links are null. So since there's nothing, it gives me no results for that. But you can sort by price. If they're not available, they get removed because there's nothing to sort. So it shouldn't show that result anyways. Developer link, you can sort by size, download size. You can see we've got some really small contenders in the free plugins category. Or this is just free. I've renamed it to free because there is so much going on when it comes to audio free stuff. So I decided to go with a general tagging system. I did run into issues where some things had so much stuff and I wanted to list it all, but I didn't want it to be on a separate page. And this is going to do like an article or something about it. So instead, I created an overflow system. So like if there's too much content, and what this does is it makes it so that the friggin' side things, so the menus, the rows cannot just go off the edge of the screen. It's limited to here because that was the issue. I did release a first version via Reddit, and this isn't done. For example, these buttons, they don't do anything now because I updated the filters. So now you can search this way too if you so desire. I'm really excited to get to this, but these will do something or they'll be removed. One of the two. There'll probably be another button added that will allow you to choose. So you can do a selection and say you only want like 3. And then you can just have those 3 be in the results. That is the end goal. Learned a lot about what should be in inline JavaScript versus CSS. Stuff like hover events is super annoying. And you may have noticed there's a very unusual scrolling behavior here in that it doesn't work like a nested window normally would. Normally, a nested window will have because we could scroll horizontally here, but there's no extra scroll bar here. This was a whole bunch of shenanigans to get this to work the way it does, so that it works off the page scroll instead. It comes at the expense of not being able to put it in a nested div to have it work in its own container. There's probably other ways it could have done it. I don't know. I was looking for a way to do it. This is how I settled on it. But anyways, yeah. So this is very exciting where these things are going. The search features are extremely robust, which is the biggest upgrade. Or actually, wait. Let me rewind a bit. There's just so much going through my mind. Originally, it was horizontal. And I wanted it horizontal because first, it made getting to the bottom of the page possible. Now you notice there's like a button that lets you go between the two. But originally it was like this. And I like this because the size of something scaled with the table. I did not have an overflow as a per item thing yet. So if something had more items, it would just get bigger. Like you see how this one's bigger? It's because there's bigger things here. But if something has a lot of things, like this one, now it just overflows. So it can only get so big. Originally, it wasn't like that. So I went with horizontal because it made sense horizontally to do this to some extent. But no one likes scrolling sideways. It actually works really well on the phone, but no one liked doing this on the computer for like obvious reasons. Sideways is weird. So I've added a vertical button to do that. Now the search features, you can search per row. So if you want to just search like in the name category, you can search for name, like we'll look for beats and like we get beats. But we could also search in the table. And if we search beats in the table, apparently that's the only thing that has the tag beats. But we could look for something else. Like we could look for beat is probably more common. Here you go. This one has beat in it. And this searches all the categories. But you could do a lot more powerful stuff. Now, this is something I've spent the last 2 weeks pretty much doing. I wanted to be able to type here, search tables, but also restrict searches. So you could search for something like, let's say we were looking for a reverb. So here's all the reverbs. But some of these, say we want it to only be Linux. We could say reverb and then we could say Linux. And now we have the reverbs that are Linux. But let's say we want to guarantee that this Linux tag, what if there's like a product with the name Linux? Let's say that we wanted to like really narrow it down. Well, you could give it a tag and it's just the name of whatever this is, spaces included. So I could just give it a tag. So this is reverb and I want to look in the platforms because that's the category I'm in, and platforms Linux. And so this is going to give the same result because that's what it is. But this leads to some really powerful things. You could also say reverb and not Linux. And now it'll give us everything that's not in the Linux category. That doesn't have a platform of Linux. The other really nice thing, now this took me a really long time to figure out, or I don't know, it felt like a long time. It's just a couple days. Braces. It now supports braces. So you could do like, let's say that we want everything with a name of delay. And then let's say that we want and we want everything with a well, let's go not with the name of delay. Let's pick something like, let's go with everything that is a compressor. And, well, let's do or stuff that has a name of fx or a name of let's choose delay. So what this is going to do is it's going to look for everything that's a compressor, and it's going to show that as a result. Or so all of these will also be included. If it has effects in the name or delay in the name, it'll show up. And so here's the compressor stuff. So this one's a bundle. Oh, we might not want the bundle. So we could say like, you know, -- not bundle. And that's a tag I have. I'm going to be updating the tags to reflect this new system because I originally didn't have this in mind when I did this. But now it gets rid of that. So we don't have that anymore. And if we go down to the bottom here, so it does the compressors first, right? And then we get the delays and the effects. So these are things with effects and delays in the name. So it's not type delays. It's specifically looking for it in the name. Now, I wanted to make this so that having to type this name and name, it's kind of annoying. I wanted a type of distribution to work. So now I have it so that this was the beginning of me learning regular expressions too, which was like a whole fiasco. So now you can push -- name, and it knows that this is a possible feature category for this particular database, and to distribute it and do it for you. So you don't have to type this. So we could just put name and then just put a list of names that we want in the or category, and it will return the same search. So pretty cool. Now, with this, you're able to randomize it. And if you hit random, it'll randomize your current search. So it won't put things from anywhere in the database in there. You could have a subset and then you could randomize it. I thought it'd be kind of fun. So this is just like randomly picking things from here. And I know the search bar is quite big, and that's because I only load a couple items off the screen. And then as you scroll, it loads more. So you can see that it shrinks, because there are a lot of items. And if I were to display them all on every page load, I don't know if it gets expensive or not. I have no idea. I'm a little afraid of that. So feel free to donate if you want to support this, because I'm terrified of cost scaling. I've done some numbers and I should be fine, but I've never done this. This is a new experience. Okay, so with these things, yeah, names distribute this way. And I needed this system to work. So the words and, or, and not are all case sensitive and need double dashes in front of them. And then features, it doesn't matter if they're not case sensitive, but you just need to put a dash for it to identify it as a feature. And you can search that way. So this is really cool. But a lot of folks in my first push on Reddit said, you know, this didn't exist at all at the time, but many people asked for a drop down to look through things, you know, kind of like a more convenient thing. So that's what this filters does. So if you click filters, it pops up with this here, and you can choose what you want to search. So let's say we want platforms. Let's go for Linux and iOS, and we want a type of, let's go for the reverbs that are Linux and iOS reverbs. And let's say that we don't want, and more filters, we don't want bundles or sample packs. Like, get that jazz out of here. You can hit submit, and there you go. And you see it's actually updated here to reflect this. If this returns no results and you hit submit, it'll actually clear it because what you searched for returned no results. I might undo that behavior and keep your current search and let you just hit, you know, clear filters, because I think that'll be more convenient. So that's probably coming down the line, along with fixing these guys so that they have an actual function. But yeah, so that's the search feature though. And oh my gosh, did this take me forever to do? I don't know if there was a library. The thing about libraries is I'm just afraid I won't understand the code that's being used, and I won't be able to fix it down the line if something breaks or something. So I tend to write my own things. Plus, I just enjoy it, and I'm having fun doing it, even though it takes me forever a lot of the time. If you're interested about the bracing algorithm, I'm not sure if this is the standard approach, but I actually go through and I take a string and I get the position of all the braces. And then I also record the position of all open braces and closed braces. Then I do a recursive call going through the string checking the order that braces were included in using that numerical information and storing data and with a push pop stack. So like I keep track of if there was a brace here, and if there was, then I push, then I look for the next one, and then I push again if another one was found. But if I find an in brace, that means that those two must have been matches, and they are a nested match if there was a previous existence in the stack. And so in this way, I can go through and determine if braces are next to each other or if they're nested inside of other sets of braces. I also have quite a bit of string parsing to make sure that no illegal stuff, like if you have like an open brace like that, it just ignores this. This doesn't do anything. I had to like standard stuff, standard parsing stuff. The regular expression for selecting features really threw me for a while, but eventually I figured it out. So that's what's going on. So there's a lot here. I have lots of things I want to do, but I think I'm going to start focusing again on updating tagging and doing a lot of data work and getting just more stuff in here. Because I want like MuseScore in here. There's a couple free DAWs I want in here. I want to do videos about this, build articles. But as far as feature sets go, I'm really happy with where it is now. I'm really happy with this. There'll be probably a couple more updates in that way. And then I'll be working on features in between like other things. Plus, I'm about to start teaching again. I teach at Citrus College. And so that takes a lot of my time. So yeah, I was happy to finish this though before the next semester began. This was a huge goal. So again, if you would like to support it, please consider donating. I really appreciate it. The databases, there's the free database. And that's the one I'm currently working on. The oscilloscope database, which was the one that started it all. No GIFs yet, but I plan on updating a lot of these with GIFs and like animations of things. I think they look cool. I use a very aggressive compression algorithm. I'm not sure if it matters if the size difference is that much, but it basically reduces one picture down to the size of a tenth of a picture, so I can load quite a bit more with a little less fear. There is guitars. Now this one is very loosely done. Like there's stuff in here, but not very much primary focus. And then the most recent one I did was sample sorting. So sample sorting, a lot of really interesting sorting things in here for you to check out if you're looking for ways to peruse. I still think Atlas 2 will be my go-to. But yeah, so yeah, you can click on the pictures, demos and reviews open in nested browsers. If I wrote an article about it, it exists here. There's a special viewing mode for this now, which is also new. Also, I mean, this doesn't have to do with the first thing, but I rewrote my CSS framework now that I had a big break because I taught a semester and then I came back and I could program again. And I rewrote my CSS framework for the background stylings of how to put things together. It is so much better now. It blew me away. I took like this huge file and reduced it to like 60 lines of code, and it does everything more efficiently. So refactoring is kind of addicting. It's just to see how you can improve it. Like I know for a fact my search feature probably has plenty of room for improvement, but man, I just wanted it to work. So now it works. There are buttons up here. If you're into CSS, very interesting. This lives actually, these are two separate tables because I call three databases whenever something is called. The first one is to populate the header with the information, the categories, and the data types of the stuff that will be included in the data portion of the table. That populates this. And so this is actually an entirely separate grid on CSS-wise. And these actually live in the second row of grid, but grid doesn't want to play nice at all with the scroll features given the shenanigans I'm doing. So I actually made that grid height 0 and then used padding and a clever calculation thingy. At least I think it's kind of clever to force these hover things into the right locations. So that's usually the thing. If something breaks is usually what it is. So this actually syncs its scroll with this bottom scroll. They're separate. On mobile, it's a little more obvious because there's a little jiggling motion when they line up. But I'm not too worried about mobile, but I do want it to work there. And yeah, so when you scroll left and right, they actually are syncing with each other, given which one. And that's how these work. And so this is the data portion of the database where it's linked up to the headers So the headers contain like information about the header and the type of information that this particular column will have. And then each column has like an object that tells it what the information is going to be for that particular row. Each one's basically an object, and these are just the values that are assigned, and then it checks it against the header one. But this has to update and dynamically resize. And I also, getting things to stick in this way was freaking nightmarish because this had to be sticky in both directions. But it had to be in a grid, but there was a weird like nesting scroll thing. I just learned so much when it came to like the order things had to be in for this, which is probably, I guess, basic for some people, but it really threw me for a loop. I had a hard time. Things would all of a sudden not be sticky, and then they would. Like in horizontal, it's sticky in the other way. And when I had to expand to make a horizontal and vertical option, it led to a whole bunch of questions about best ways to code this. Because I could have if statements everywhere. And I wound up dedicating 2 entirely separate functions and then divvying out all uniform code separately so that only code that's different lives in the 2 functions. So if a particular one breaks, it's really easy to go back and fix it. But yeah, so the stickiness was a thing. And then this guy, I really wanted it to pop up next to it. But again, all kinds of stuff went wrong with the scrolling and sticky features as soon as I did that. Also, getting this to resize correctly and load and pop up in the right spot was a whole fiasco. Like, oh my gosh. But once I had this, another thing that was kind of like something you might not realize, but to me it was a big thing. This is sticky now. This took me forever to get to be sticky correctly. There are a few things that I want to eventually fix, but they're nowhere near my list of important things to do. In the horizontal mode, if you do a search for something that returns a non-result, the no results pops up down here because the way it gets added, it just doesn't appear as part of the table. I'd like to fix that and have it pop up here eventually, but most people are in vertical mode, and this makes a lot of sense in vertical mode. So I'm not worried. The table's empty. It's kind of obvious. So there's other things I think I should be spending my time on a little bit more, but that's something that I would like to fix at some point. Again, the selecting here, if it returns no results, I'd like to fix that. I want to get these working. I have a bunch of other feature ideas also that could work with this, but it's at a point now where I think it's extremely usable. And I do have a tips container on searches. Oh yeah, there's like range modifiers and stuff too. So I have it so if you click it, it closes. I should probably have like an X or something. See just stuff like that. So anyways, yeah, there's range modifiers. So if let's say that you want to search for ratings, I can't remember if it was rating or ratings. It's just rating. And let's say that I want it to be everything greater than is that one. 4 stars. Well, that's the same thing as 5 stars. Let's say 3 stars. And you hit enter, it'll give you everything that is 3 stars or greater. So basically 4 stars and up. Right now, it currently doesn't support things like, you can't type stuff like greater than 3, less than 4, but you can type stuff like and. So it basically is supported. And we could put rating like this with a brace. Let's say we want a range. Less than 3 and equal to 1. So let's say we want really terrible plugins too. And there's nothing, because it's greater than 3. Let's say greater than 3 or, and's the wrong word there, less than 1. Here you go, you got your 1 stars. And as soon as we go past this, it does the evaluation in a particular order. So we could sort our results. So this is 1 stars. And now we have our 5 stars. And as we come down, there are a lot more 1 stars because 1 stars also, any discontinued product is automatically a 1 star. But you can see there's quite a bit of 5 stars at this point. A lot of really fantastic ones. There's the 4 stars. And as we come down here, when we get down to the end of the 4 stars, we should see the 1 stars immediately. Man. Yeah, I spent several weeks adding things. Yep, there it is. See, it's just an immediate jump. Also, with the download search things, the download size, these are also supported via range specifiers, but they also support the prefixes kilobytes, megabytes, gigabytes, and terabytes. There's nothing with terabyte, but I have it in there just maybe one day. So if you type like less than 2 2 megabytes and search it. There you go. There's all the things with less than 2 megabytes. Some of these have specialty size things. Like, for example, the download size here is for VST3 only. But anyways, yeah, I'm excited about this. I'm really pumped. I've been pouring a ton of effort into it. I'd like to continue to pour effort into it as I build out more of the site, because I'm working on the music theory course and these things as well. And when the semester, as the semester starts, I'll probably be turning my attention to doing this when I'm working at the school, when I have spare time between like classes, because this is more difficult to do when I'm not at my main rig that has all the local stuff set up to make it really easy to work with. Especially since I'll have my current data sets. I don't want to be. I thought about doing a cloud thing, but it might be better just to separate them and have this just have when I'm working here, it's got that job. But anyways, that's a little bit. I guess this is a dev log. This is the first dev log, and I'm real stoked about it. I'm really happy where this has gone. And I plan on continuing to improve it. I hope you enjoy it. There'll be more videos later detailing specific features and how to use them. Thanks for watching, and have a blessed day.